what is flashing? Flashing is a fancy word for transition. When is flashing used? Let me show you. Flashing is predominantly used between a roof and a wall surface. There's a gap, and you need to close this gap or make a transition, and that's called flashing. You can have wood shingles and a flat roof, you still need flashing. You have a drip edge, that's called a transition between the edge of the roof and the roofing material. Now, the first time when flashing was used is during the Roman Empire, 200 BC, before Christ. And lead was the predominantly used material for flashing. They used it in aqueducts and in bathtubs in those days. Lead flashing was used until the 1900s, until recently. So for almost 2,000 years, lead was used as flashing or to make a transition between two surfaces or two different materials. And I want to show you an idea. I'm not a lead person, but this is lead. Look how easy it bends. Very malleable. The Romans, for the almost 2,000 years, people had to make their own tools to use with lead flashing. And let me show you how I made this wood mallet this morning. I'm cutting a piece of wood to make a mallet for lead flashing. So, to work with lead, people had to make their own tools. And they would shape it like this. Okay. So they can have a tool to mold the lead. I can shape the lead.
Let me see it. See that? This is nice.
Got all my sandpaper. Maybe 120, 220, 220. And this is what I'm going to use to show you how the flashing is made on a wall. This is not exactly how it's made, but I'm just giving you an example, okay? So you cut a slot. A slot is cut into the brick or stone. In those days it would be stones, the Roman times. And then they insert the lead in there. Not exactly how I do it. There was a bigger slot and they used clips and everything and caulking. But I just want to show you how malleable it is. So lead flashing bends very easy, look. And they used a tool like this called a mallet to bend and conform the lead to the surface, just like that. And you can see how it bends and form into this surface. Okay? Just like that. That's how lead became the flashing material for roofing for almost 2,000 years. So lead was used, but became very expensive. It has toxins. And so governments and institutions started to ban the use of lead. And as today, very few places, only UK is using quite a lot of lead flashing, but other places don't like to use it. Now, copper became the predominantly metal to be used during the 1700s. It was used for cladding, like the roofing itself, and flashing. So copper turns into like a greenish verdigris, which is called patina, and that has an aesthetic value. Architects love it. And you can see that on many buildings like the Christ Church in Philadelphia and the Belvedere Palace in Vienna. the Berlin Cathedral in Germany, the Minneapolis City Hall in Minnesota. They all have these green roofs. Also, the Statue of Liberty is out of copper. So in the 1700s, that's what made copper popular. It was easy to use, it was more available, and cheaper than lead. The way they installed it on a lot of structures was to make a groove into the wall like this, and then they would insert the copper into that groove like that, and then the roofing material will be tucked underneath this copper flashing like that. Copper had the same issue when they made a transition to the wall. They had to seal the very top of the copper with some kind of sealant, just like that. And that's copper and lead was installed very much like that as a flashing. Very popular. Now, after the Second World War, 1947, aluminum and galvanized metal, galvanized steel became more popular than copper because copper is very expensive and was too expensive for regular roofing jobs. So they changed to aluminum, much lighter and cheaper. So this became the popular flashing for the next 50, 60 years. 1950s and 60s, this was so popular, it took over all kinds of flashing. They stopped using copper in most cases, and because of the toxicity of lead, that was banned by most states and most countries because the runoff from the lead into the water was a hazard, and therefore they banned it. So lead has a very bad toxicity. Handling it is a problem, and using it became a big problem. That's why they stopped using lead. And copper became so expensive, they stopped using it, and people used to steal the copper flashing. They went onto buildings and cut the copper out everywhere. It became theft, a big problem with theft. To do copper or aluminum flashing, you need a special brake that's clumsy and specialty tools to make all the bends. That becomes a big hassle to carry around to every job for a roofer. So for 2,000 years, metal flashing was the way to go. But all of them have this one common problem, and that was they still needed some other product to make a transition from a wall to the flashing itself. In this case, the copper, the aluminum, the lead, all needed some kind of sealant on top of it, where they closed that little gap there. And this is where most leaks come from on a roof. Always check the flashing. So in the 1980s, a roofer formulated the resin liquid flashing. That was a game changer because all they need to do is carry this around with a brush and a fleece, and they could do any flashing, any repairs instantly without having all the equipment to haul around in a truck. And that became the game changer. With liquid flashing, you don't need any experience. Anybody can do it. Let me show you how it's done. If you have a roof which is a torch down roof like this is torch down, modified by Tuman. This is EPDM. EPDM is like a rubber roof, like a car tire, okay? Inner tube of a car tire. So there's two different materials. If you use an asphalt roof, like shingles, asphalt, you use Turbo Polyseal. What you do is you mix it up a little bit, like that. You take a brush, and all you do is you paint it on the wall, like that. You paint it on the roof, just like that, on the wall like that. So you use a piece of fleece. I cut a fleece, and I put it in position, and this is flashing. Very simple, easy. It makes the transition. You remember, flashing is a transition between two surfaces, and in this case, the wall and the roof, and then you paint over that again. What makes this much better than metal flashing is, you don't need to put caulking anymore. It seals that wall. You don't have to worry about how the metal is going to be tied into this roof. They used to have certain glues and tar. Now it's tied in. The roof and the wall is tied in. That's a game changer, and anybody can do that. If you have an inner tube of a car, you have to use different product, but the same idea. Let me show you. I'm going to stir it a little bit. You paint this on the wall, on the material. This adheres to EPDM. Turbo Polyseal will not adhere to EPDM, okay? You cannot use that. And you put it on, and voila, you're done. That's how easy it is to do flashing now. There's no more worried about caulking. The one metal flashing with caulking, the caulking comes loose. That's always a problem. With this sealant like this, it never comes loose. It never leaks. You don't have to worry about flashing anymore. So that's a game changer. Let me show you how to do this particular flashing around the vent pipe. In this case, I have a torch down roof. You smear it around. You cut yourself a fleece. You cut your tabs in a fleece, like every inch, halfway to the fleece. There's no reason to hire anybody. You do it this way, like that. Look at it. And I have my flashing, and your flashing is done. Anybody can do it. This is the best way to go about any flashing now. If you have repairs, you do it the same way. Much easier than metal flashing. Lead, copper, aluminum. It took me a few minutes, and I'm done. Anybody can do roofing now, because flashing used to be the most difficult part of roofing. I want to show you how to do it over a tiled roof. The tile roof, that's just as easy. Let me show you. The most difficult part is to do this flashing with copper or with lead, and it doesn't bend. But look at the liquid flashing. It's very easy. Paint it on, but you can paint this flashing after you're done. All right? So you do the same thing, and then you cut yourself tabs where, okay, so it can lie flat. Lies nice and flat, and that didn't take long. And voila, my flashing is done. On any type of roof. Slate takes a day to cure. Okay, so I made a mess now. I didn't do it very clean. The big advantage is this moves with temperature. It contracts and expands, especially metal roofs or any type of material with bricks. So you have some movement here, and the roof moves by itself, and that will not crack. It's flexible, it's pliable. It will never crack. It will stay like this. That's why it's a game changer, because in metal, you cannot do it. It's very rigid. This is flexible, this is pliable, it's rubberish. It stays rubber. This is a day later, and you can see how the flashing is. Very, very smooth, very nice, and water cannot get in here, and this is flexible. It will never crack. Now, to give it a longer life, to protect it for longer, this will last maybe 10 years or more. But if you want to protect it even longer, or you want to paint it for aesthetic reasons, you can paint it with any color. In this case, I'm using silver coat protection, but you can use any color. Then, if you don't like to use the silver coat protection, you can use any paint. In this case, I only have green paint here, so I'm going to use the green paint to demonstrate. But look how nice it is. Look, and look, this moves, and look how pliable this is. You see? Look. It will never crack. That's how it is. The roof can move, and that it will not crack. So this is what you do. You paint. You can paint. My brush has now got silver coat and the green paint in it. But anyway, you get the idea. You can paint this to match your roof or to match the wall, whatever you want to do. If that's the case, you can paint it and it protects us. That is liquid flashing oil. Thanks for watching and give us a thumbs up and see you on the next video.